Alrighty, welcome to the LongBox Paradox, episode 66. We switched up the format. It is myself and Jennifer, and we're both bringing three books to the table. And this should be interesting because I basically woke up and just read my three books. Jennifer's been up for a while, and she's caffeinated. So I'll let you start out.
Very caffeinated.
You go first.
Okay. So my one of my first picks today, and I was very curious to see if this one was on your radar. Strange Adventures.
It is. I read it.
And I wasn't sure if you were going to pick it because I know you have a love-hate thing with Tom King. So yeah.
So what did you think?
What are your thoughts on it? Oh, okay. I'll go first on
You
what
start,
I thought.
yeah.
Okay, so I really enjoyed it, but I felt like I was reading Mr. Miracle again. Like immediately, it's this relationship between him and his wife, and I got flashbacks to Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, and I loved Mr. Miracle, and I love that comic. I wish it was a little bit different. I wish I didn't feel that way immediately going in, and that maybe clouded what I felt about it. But I still really loved Strange Adventures. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Where I was with this is it's that weird thing when Tom King does characters that really haven't been delved into deeply, like Vision, Mr. Miracle, and then this book. When he's deconstructing the character, I don't mind it at all. Like Batman, I feel like he did it to death, where it hurt actually the flow of the story. And good God, the dialogue with Gotham Girl in that run, I wanted to throw my iPad. Like, I hated it. I hated it so badly. There was the one issue of like Heroes in Crisis where Batgirl said like 32 times in the book. I think D-Comic Queen counted when we did our Heroes in Crisis stream. And she's like, who the fuck writes this dialogue? Who talks like this? Like Batgirl's a Valley Girl. Yeah. So this I liked because again, it's characters really no one gives a shit about. Adam Strange is a character like was it Infinite Crisis or where I think that's the last time you really saw him. It was that Rand Thanagar war that they really delved into him deep at all. I want to know what happened to the daughter. They kind of dip into that a little bit. The fact
did they die?
Or she just gone?
Yeah.
He's on a book tour. His wife has become kind of his first lady manager. Like he's framed for murder.
Yeah,
I love
like PR person. Yeah.
I love that there's the crazy guy at the book signing who's like, you're a war criminal. I know what you did. Who would know what he did to this alien species? But they're running with it and the guy gets killed.
Yeah.
The flip of the art was kind of odd, like jarring at moments where it's Mitch Gerrits and then it goes to Doc Shaner.
Yeah.
But I like the book. I don't think I liked it as much as Mr. Miracle, but I feel like it's a solid 7 out of 10 for me. Like I think that's pretty fair. Again, I get painted as a Tom King hater, and I hate him doing modern superhero, if that makes sense. Like characters with like a rich history where they've been done to death. Heroes in Crisis was just a disaster. That in general, I'm not going to back off of that. Any other thoughts on this book that like stuck out to you?
I'm really excited, like I said, to see where it goes. You know, what exactly happened to his daughter. And I do want to see the relationship between Adam Strange and his wife, just because I think that was one of my favorite parts of Mr. Miracle, and Vision was just seeing the family dynamic. So I think that'll be interesting, especially since this whole comic is about these heroes. Do we paint them as heroes, or are they really villains? When, you know,
it's all who controls the narrative.
It's a very gray area. Yep, exactly. So I think that, you know, seeing that family dynamic will be really interesting thinking about that. So I'll probably pick this up next month. I'll pick up number 2 next month.
I just remember Vision, by the time it hit the end, it had that gut punch moment of where you're just like, oh my god, what? Oh. And I remember Gambit. He's gonna
Yep.
hate me for saying this. He almost cried by the end. He was
Yeah.
like, I did not expect this
Nothing
Vision
wrong with
book to
crying.
bother me so much. Especially with the parts with the
Mm-hmm.
Scarlet Witch, which I highly recommend Vision if people out there have not read it. Like, it's worth it. And this is coming from a
Yeah.
Tom King hater. Um, so
I'm really
on,
excited to see if they bring that into WandaVision. If they bring that.
it looked like parts of it. Like, I'd love to see Viv Vision. I don't think we will, but I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see if they do that whole family dynamic. Especially, I remember like West Coast Avengers and all that back in the day, where she accidentally conjured up kids, where she hexed herself
Mm-hmm.
pregnant. So my pick, I'm going with Batman number 90, which for some ungodly reason sold out from Diamond very early. I guess people thought Punchline was going to show up. Spoiler, she's not in there. There's no cameo. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
This issue was kind of an odd one. The Jorge or George Jimenez art was fantastic. I'll start with that. James Tinian actually has Batman doing stuff. He's not sitting around with his feelings. I enjoy that. It's more of this plot unfolding. We basically get the rogues, Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, and Penguin, and how they met this new character called the Designer. And basically, the Designer was basically helping them step their game up as villains. And he basically goes into the room with Joker and decides he needs to kill all of them. They manage to get the drop on him and kill him, and then they say like that's when the Joker, the evil switch in him really turned on, where he wasn't just making Joker fish and silly stuff, like he became truly evil. But the Designer is back in some way. Probably someone stole his identity, and Catwoman's basically saying, so, the plan I hatched with him was basically to take the whole Wayne fortune. And the Designer is now working out all of these things that they were going to do. It started with the Penguin. Now it's time for Catwoman's. So he's like, well, how are they going to steal my money? And that's when the book ends. It was solid. The art was good. Nothing fantastic though. So I'm at about a 6 or a 7 on it. They're calling it Meat and Potatoes Batman because it's really
Yeah.
just beating ass, and it was good, not great.
I think that's almost a good thing because we're seeing so many different in the past like couple years. We've seen so many iterations of Batman with a lot of the Black Label stuff and
Yes.
White Knight and Damned and like that whole all of that. Meat and Potatoes isn't not necessarily that it's not a bad thing, but it's back to who he is.
Back to basics. The weird thing I have to
Yeah.
say, I was surprised at all the creators coming out against Sean Gordon Murphy the other day. Did you
Oh,
see?
really? Why is that?
He got that
No.
White Knight imprint, and they started calling him a comics gator and all this other stuff. It was very weird.
Oh no.
Yeah, like Donnie Cates, Tess Fowler, and a bunch of other people just started dogpiling him, and I guess some of the people he was hiring.
Oh.
And I was kind of surprised because that's the first I've ever heard or even any inference about him. And Donnie Cates didn't
Man,
even.
I met him at a couple.
Donnie Cates doubled down,
Donnie
tripled
Cates
down.
does not come to play.
No.
He does not come to play. I have seen a couple of his take. Who did he take down? Like he took down some like rando on Twitter recently, and he did not come to play.
No.
Man.
And I was just like, Jesus Christ! Like I've never heard a bad thing about Sean Gordon Murphy. I know
Yeah.
I know like he had gone on Twitter a couple of months ago saying, I know there's a whole chat about me, the creators bad mouthing me. He's like, come talk to me, we'll have a beer.
No.
So he always does the political method. Yeah, it was just one of those things I noticed yesterday. Because my friend's like, what is going on with Sean Gordon Murphy? And then pointing me to the Donnie Cates stuff. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, like there was
immediately when I get off here, I'll be on Twitter.
Yeah, just search name and you'll find everything. Yeah, so that was my thoughts on this Batman. Again, like if you want like a real detective Batman, that Warren Ellis Batman's Grave is the one to go to. Brian Hitch's artwork's good on it. I'm fine with Meat and Potatoes Batman. Like, it's not making you think too much, which, I mean, I want to think a little bit, but there's enough pacing and action in it where this is kind of like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, except without the cheesy acting.
Yeah.
That's a bad analogy,
That,
but
like,
I'm going with
overacting.
it. It's a Fast and the Furious movie. Except with less
Okay.
Axe body spray and less Mountain Dew, Coronas. Your next pick.
My next pick is going to be Pink Lemonade, number 2. Even though I feel like this has been a title that has number 1 several months ago, was really good. And then number 2, I saw it on the shelf today and I'm like, I didn't even know this came out today. And I guess I had forgotten about it, but man, it's so weird and it's wacky. And even just thinking about like 80s superheroes, and I don't know if you can see the art style here.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know.
Looks like Captain Planet.
I really like it. It's so much, it's fun. I don't even know how to begin to describe this, but it's my brand of wacky and weird, and I love it.
Huh. I've never heard of that title. Like, not at all.
Nick Cagnetti, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this is issue number 2. Issue number 1, I remember picking it up like months and months and months ago, and I remember I saw issue number 2 today, and I'm like, fuck yeah! So that was one of my picks today.
I know nothing about that book. I'm kind of curious to check it out now. Like, I've been bad with independents lately, where if they don't catch my eye right away, I just pass right by them. Weirdly, though, there is one by Antarctic Press I love, and I thought I would hate it just from the covers. Punchline, not the DC character, but it's called Punchline. It's been interesting.
Yeah. Punchline.
And I don't ever really read anything from Antarctic Press, not since like Warrior Nun Ariella way back in the day.
Yeah.
So my next one is going to be, I've said I'm not going to do a bad review of anything, but I feel like I have to talk about this book, and it's Mirka Andolfo's Mercy #1 from Image Comics. Beautiful covers. Beautiful cover. The Art Germ cover is fantastic. Actually, all the covers are pretty great. I have not read a book this pretty that is this soulless in a long time. It has a Deadwood.
I really wanted to like Mercy. Yeah.
I had that problem with Unnatural. I started reading it when Andolfo put it out. It bored me. I was not interested in all of it.
Really?
I tried. I bought way too many of them where I should have given up after issue 3, and I just kept going. But I was like, oh, the art's nice.
I see that with that title.
I don't know what I was looking for from it, but whatever it wasn't there. This one, it's Deadwood meets I can't even say Lovecraft. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. Like, it's
like there's some type of like vampires.
I think it's a demon. They say like the demon. They're worshiping the demon to be safe. And it's I guess Old West. Maybe like there's not really a time period. It almost has a bit of Lady Mechanica to it too, from Joe Benitez.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Very much. At least the character. What's the main character's name? The one who is maybe the demon. She's on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's how much I've remembered this book, is that I can't even remember.
She blood splattered all over her face. Oh crap! I just read.
I'm like reading it right now, and
Lady Helene. Lady or Madame Helene.
Yeah. Helene. Yeah.
This guy who's taking her around kind of feels like her Renfield almost. We're taking care of her of
yeah.
What was in Let Me In? let the right one in. How
Yeah.
the guy was her keeper, kind of like that.
Yeah.
She has these. I can't even think what they are. Like that kid had all those growths all over him, like it ate his eyes out. The little kid who got killed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll at least I'll go to the next issue, but I don't know if I can even recommend buying this. Like it's pretty. The art is fantastic. Like Andolfo is very, very good. I don't know about
Mm-hmm.
her writing.
It almost, yeah, to me, the writing felt, it was confusing. Like, and usually immediately when I get into a story, I like pick that one character that I like or that I identify with. And this was kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I felt nothing from any
Yeah.
of these characters, and I can't figure out.
Yeah.
Like it just something was off. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give this a 4. And I hate saying that because
Yeah.
I like the art, but I have not read a story this abysmal. And again, the characters are so
Mm-hmm.
unlikable. There's not one thing you can grab onto. I literally can't remember a character's
Yeah.
name from this, and I just
Yeah.
read it and I can't remember, and that is very rare. Like,
Exactly.
oh,
I think
yes,
too there was so much hype around this book,
oof, yes,
and I think maybe that's what it was. Like I got excited and I got pumped because I saw the artwork and got like, the advanced copy, and I'm like, okay, like I looked a couple pages in and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab this one. And then I grabbed it and read it all the way through, and I'm like, did I read something different, or what happened there?
I'd honestly probably recommend reading Lady Mechanica over this if you're going for this vibe.
Yeah.
At least there's characters I remember, or go full stream and go
Mm-hmm.
Monstrous. Monstrous is a phenomenal book, and Sana
Oh,
Takeda's art.
it's so funny. The artwork in this one it had almost that like anime, definitely like Asian influence style, I felt, especially with the character design. But I would read Monstrous 1,000 times. I could
Yeah,
go back to.
that or even now an ended series, Wayward. I fucking love that series. Japanese demons and children kind of infected with these powers. I love that book, and it would have made a perfect anime if it came out. Jim Zub, and I
Yeah.
cannot remember the artist's name because it's been a while since I've read it, but I really, really like that. Your turn.
Okay, so for my third final pick, and just because once again I love weird, King of Nowhere. I really, really, really enjoyed this from the weird artwork style, and it gave me Jeff Lemire vibes. And I really, really enjoyed this book. W. Maxwell Prince, Tyler Jenkins, and Hillary Jenkins. Man, this was really good.
Speaking of Lemire,
Sometimes I go in.
did you see the news
Yeah.
today? That Lemire
No.
Colonel Weird
No.
series. Him and Tyler Crook.
Yes. Thank you.
It's like they saw our
Yes.
stream.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, and they're like, okay, this is for you guys. This is for you. Yeah.
Okay,
That makes me very, very excited. Yeah.
go on with your review. Sorry, when you said Lemire, it triggered. I was like, wait, I just read
Oh,
that today.
no worries. No, so like, man, even though it is not Lemire who did King of Nowhere, this book is, it's weird where when you're reading a book, and kind of like how when I was reading Mercy and I was like, where the fuck am I? What year is it? Where is this going? I felt the same thing out of King of Nowhere, but I wanted to go where the book was taking me. Like it's weird, and you're following this guy in his dream world, and it feels like a fever dream. Maybe it's because I've been sick for the past month and a half, and having fever dreams, and I read this and I'm like, oh, okay, like this makes sense. But it just goes on this like stream of him going into this town called nowhere, but he says that it's somewhere, and it's my brand of weird. If you would describe a comic book as weird, I will read it, and this is weird and I love it, and I will be picking it up next month for sure.
I will check it out. I'll probably
Yeah.
go download it because I'm sure my shop didn't order it because he's not big on ordering non-superhero books.
The weird stuff.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah.
don't special order it, he doesn't order it. It's kind of an ongoing argument. And for my last one, I couldn't resist doing this one because it's Scotty Young with Umberto Ramos, and that's Strange Academy #1. It has a total old school X-Men vibe with Harry Potter. The characters are pretty interesting. Umberto Ramos's art just fits it to a T. It's basically young to teen magicians all across the multiverse that are going to Doctor Strange for training. We have Dormammu's son that we didn't know existed, a bunch of Asgardians, a frost giant, a fairy. There's a whole bunch of different characters, and the teachers are kind of insane. It's Brother Voodoo, Doctor Strange, Hellstrom, Nico Minoru from Runaways, Scarlet Witch, Magic, and Shaman. So they're all there as teachers at this school. Doctor Strange does this show. He shows up with a creature and they all start throwing down. Very fun read. Honestly, I wish more publishers would have these entry-level books where a younger reader would maybe gravitate to. This is one of them that I think could do well because I feel that's where a lot of the current comics where it's failing is bringing in younger readers. The only ones
I think DC is kind of doing that.
Sort of. When I was working for Barnes & Noble, one of our best-selling books was the Amulet series. That book sold like crazy.
Oh, wow.
And that was, to me, the right gateway drug for kids to get into comics. It's real fascinating because when I just started in 85, 86, you had Power Pack and you had all these other like Teen Titans. So you had those books to kind of gravitate to younger readers. Of course, Teen Titans was way fucking dark back then. I mean, people were dying or betraying each other constantly. Power Pack was probably one of the better ones. But this was an insanely fun read. I'm giving it an 8. And again, it's Scotty Young. Like, did you read I Hate Fairyland?
Yeah. Yep.
It has that kind of fun without the language.
Okay. It's funny. I almost picked that title up and then I'm like, no, let me go ahead and like wait and see how it is. And like, as soon as you just said magic, and I'm like, if I had known she was going to be in it, I would have gotten it. But
she doesn't feature big in it. She's one of the, I imagine every couple of issues, one of the teachers is going to be focused on. I love Nico Minoru too. So like, I knew magic was in it. I was like, well, Nico's in it too. I have to check this out. And I like Umberto Ramos art and then Scotty Young writing. His writing has gotten has gotten really good. Middle West seems to be where he really stretched himself out as a writer. And the improvement
Middle
he's
West
shown
is fantastic.
It's kind of surprising because seeing some of these artists become writers and how some of them, like Chip Zdarsky, his Daredevil run is the best I've read since Brubaker. He's gotten very good as a writer. Sean Gordon Murphy, I thought, took nice steps on Curse of the White Knight, kind of being less safe, where White Knight was very tight and like there wasn't a lot of room to kind of stretch out in it, where he's kind of expanding a little bit. And Scotty Young has become a really good writer. Like, it's kind of shocking. I didn't think he was going to get this good so fast, but Middle West, I guess, has let him kind of explore a little bit and kind of play safe. I'm really enjoying that book. And if anybody hasn't picked it up, like, get the trades. It's fantastic. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Strange Academy. I really enjoyed it. It's worth a buy, like 100%, and I think a young reader can enjoy it. And I can't wait for next week because Decorum comes out. and I'm always down for new
Yeah.
Hickman.
Yep. Yep.
I was just looking through what.
Especially, man, like East of West, that's one of like that'll always just have a special place in my heart. That book is poetry.
What did you think about the ending?
Um I I heard, so here's immediately like what volume was that? 8 or
I
9, cuz
think
that one came
it.
out this
I think. Did it come out yet on trade? I don't
yeah.
think it.
Without
Might have been 8.
yeah. So I heard that that one was going to get picked up for a show maybe on Amazon, and I'm very curious how they're going to pace it. That
Hopefully,
that
slowly.
without giving like yeah.
Did you see Ice Cream Man has a series coming out now? On
Yes, that one I'm really excited about, especially if they really go like creepy, wacky, weird with it, because that's definitely the vibe
well, it's 10-minute
of
episodes.
Ice
The
Cream Man.
the channel
Yeah.
Quick Kibi, it's Quick Bites. It's only 10-minute episodes for all their original
Okay.
content. So you could do those short stories in there real quick. And since usually there's 2 or 3 of those kind of stories going on in Ice Cream Man, I think it could do well.
And that's how it would need. That's how it would need to be with that. Like those stories don't need to be like long drawn out. They don't need to like do an entire season for one story. It does need to
No.
be just quick and
Yeah, kind of like Tales from
Yeah.
the Crypt. Except for
yeah,
the ice cream.
100%. That's what
The
it
Ice
needs
Cream
to
Man's
be.
just the constant.
Yeah. Yep.
Any books you were looking forward to coming out this coming week?
I can't. I mean, Decorum. I feel like there was another one. I think that there's a like trade or collected volume that's coming out. There's 1 or 2 coming out next week that I'm really excited about, but I can't think of which ones they are for next week.
There is the Wicked and Divine hardcover for No One Left to Fight trade comes out. I fucking love that series. It's basically like in my head like Dragon Ball Z. Goku saved the world. Now he's just has nothing to do. Not seeing a ton. There's a hell of a lot of dollar comics and facsimile editions next week. Jesus Christ. Dollhouse
Oh
Family.
yeah, this week I picked up the Swamp Thing this week, the dollar comic book, and I really enjoyed that.
My thing is like Swamp Thing. If people haven't read that Alan Moore run, they're missing out. Oh, there was an omnibus that came out.
Yeah, and that's what this. It's the Alan Moore. So, 100%.
I love that run. Oh my god, it was so good. It's one of the best love stories possibly written in a comic. Like him and Abby. Yep. Oh, the Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen second print comes out for everybody who wants Punchline.
Yeah. Once
can't.
They're shot at actually getting Punchline.
I can't believe that. How much the stupid books are going for. Like it's being forced down everybody's throat and everybody's buying it. And I'm a sucker and I bought it. The cover price though. I didn't
I was gonna say, did you get it on the
Yeah, no, I paid even at like $5 and at the page count, I was like, this is bullshit. But I bit the bullet. I didn't sell it yet. I'm waiting. Because at first I was like, well, I'm gonna quick flip this. I have this thing with moderns. I'll flip them, and then I'll buy Silver Age keys I like. My grail that I still haven't picked up yet is the Death of Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man 121. I'd like to also own, if I'm going to get a modern, I want to get Saga #1 because I missed out on that when it came out.
So that's one of the ones. So like true story, in like 2012 when that one came out, I got a copy of it. And I think I had a copy of 1, 2, and 3 sitting on my living room table. My cat jumped on the table and spilled water all over it. About 3 years ago, I spent about $300 getting 1 through 5. So I have them, but it cost.
I think the
But
comic
I'm okay with that because now I have it.
I think the Comic Queen has 8 copies of issue 1. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like her collection like makes mine look like shit. And she shows these books she gets. I was like, how are you doing this? Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But that's one of like the modern grails that I want because I fucked up and I just didn't jump on it. And then Preacher, I sold mine off when the show was coming out because it hit a price range I couldn't ignore for what I put into it. There's
An
a
offer
couple
you couldn't refuse.
with everything I buy. I have a number in my head that I set that if it ever hits this number, I will get rid of it. And it hit that number. Die number 1 hit that number. I have several number 1s, but my graded copy, I was like, well, I can get $250 for it right now. When the show rumors were going around, I was like, all right, gotta sell it. Batman Damned, when
There's
that hit 100.
Oh my gosh. Graded or raw?
Raw. When the Batwang took off.
Yeah. I have a copy of NYX number 3 raw, and I'm thinking about getting it graded, and I don't know. I go back and forth. I've never actually like flipped a lot of comic books. I've always thought about doing it, and I just never get around to it. So, I don't know. One day I'll retire off this shit.
You can get a good chunk of change off of that book if you get it graded,
I know.
especially if it goes at a 9.8.
I know. Yep. I don't think it'll go for a 9.8, but even if it was a 9.6, I know I can get some money. But I have this love-hate relationship with flippers and, just because, or speculators, and I don't know. I want to have a good collection and I enjoy my collection. One day I will sell it off probably piece by piece, but it's going to be a lot of work for me to go and grade, and if I need to have them pressed and all that.
Yeah, I do a lot of like long-term like specs where I'll pick up something and be like, well, 5 years from now, this might really take off. Yeah, I use like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I picked that up just like, maybe something will happen. And then all of a sudden it blew up. I was like, well. And then Young Avengers started taking off, and I had all those issues. So I sold off my Raws for $150, 1 through 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that didn't really hurt me.
There's one series that I think I ended up getting all of American Vampire. And I think that one either just got announced for a show or it's coming back. I just recently saw it and I'm like, I want to go ahead and check and see, how American Vampire is doing. So
they've been talking about that being a series for a while. I remember Brad Pitt's company was talking about they were optioning Witches. But American Vampire would make a fantastic cable show. I love that book.
Yeah.
And it's Scott Snyder when he still had his mojo working, because boy, there's a couple of his series now that I read and I don't know what happened. It's getting high on his own supply. His Justice League run, I hate it with a passion. And the Batman, what the fuck's that? That Black, the Last Night on Earth. I can't even follow what's going on with that. Like, I just didn't like it. But I read it. I bought it. I buy it all. It just hasn't been the same since he left Batman. I think that's the character. Like, they're doing the sequel to the Dark Multiverse, that the Dark Knight Metal or Black Metal or whatever. Yeah. I hated Metal. I hated it with a passion, and it's just infected the whole fucking DC universe where they just beat you over the head with the Batman who laughs. It's a cool design, kind of, but I'm done with it.
I feel like there's so, like, right now, like within the past, like 1 to 2 years, they've almost overdone all of these iterations of Batman, and some of them I enjoy, some of them I don't, and I feel like there's way too much going on that I'm like, you know what? I'll let all of this play out, and I'll just figure it out when the dust settles.
Yeah, I feel like all the fun of the DC universe is gone. And it's been out of
Yeah.
Marvel for a while. Like I have the superhero hangover where I still pick them up, but I don't get the thrill out of them that I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm such an obsessive
Yeah.
reader that I keep like the most original thing I think from Marvel that came out is the Al Ewing Immortal Hulk, where they decided to become a horror book. Probably the best book they've been releasing. But well, that's what grinds my gears in comics. Any other kind of books you want to add, or anything thought-wise, comic-wise, before we wrap up?
Man, today, I know we were talking about single issues today, but The Plot came out today. The trade volume 1, and I just picked that up, and then Something is Killing the Children. Volume 1 just came out. So those ones I have on the shelf. I'm ready to read. Yeah.
Something is Killing the Children. I think you'll really enjoy. The character Erica Slaughter, the main character, my only gripe from that book, they didn't explore her enough. She's in it a lot, but they tell you nothing. Also,
that book, man, like issue 1 came out and it sold out so quickly, and there were so many like speculators talking about it and picking it up that you couldn't get issue 1, because I think even pre-orders.
Yeah, the Jenny Friesen one was the one that got high real fast.
Yep.
Once in Future was another one. So I couldn't
even like grab it.
Once in Future was another one. I think they went up to an 8th printing for number 1 now. Deadeye's trade paperback came out this week. Deadeye's I really enjoyed. Jerry Duggan, whose writing I don't normally enjoy, and John McCrae. It used to be called Dead Rabbit, but they had a lawsuit about the name, so they had to change it.
Oh gosh.
Really like that series. That trade came out. Books I didn't get to read that I picked up this week: Butcher of Paris #4 and Kill Whitey Donovan from Dark Horse.
That was a limited one, right?
The Kill Whitey Donovan is limited. I think it's got one more issue. Mm-hmm. Yep, and Butcher of Paris is number 4 or 5 as well. Butcher of Paris, I highly recommend.
I think that I missed out on those.
Did you read Philadelphia yet?
I have not read Philadelphia. I meant to read it right before this, but I'm on like a vacation right now, so I'll be reading it this vacation.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Rodney Barnes for visiting my Instagram and seeing that review. Great writer, nice guy. I put you on the spot for saying I got you to read it.
Yeah,
so I had to do a side drive-by tag you in. So
oh my goodness, no worries.
I think that'll be it for this episode. We've gone 38 minutes, which is about 20 minutes longer than I normally go.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the format where we're not really reviewing, but we're just discussing. Try and do it again, depending on schedules and everything else. But thank you, everybody who watched, and will later stream this. And for those who haven't watched, we do the Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club once a month. We did a great one on Black Hammer last month. That was really fun and made me squirm a little bit near the end. And we're doing Nailbiter this month by Josh Williamson, Mike Henderson. And if you like horror, if you like serial killers, if you like, according to Sydney, Cinia, it is 7 meets Twin Peaks. I'm not sure about that analogy, but we'll just run with it. Possibly doing it the 18th. If anything, keep tabs on my Instagram, comic_chop_news, or you can check out at Gin and Comics on Instagram and read her reviews on the Comic Lounge, where she just did, what was it,
The Comic
Vagrant?
Lounge.
What'd you do? The
Vagrant Queen, man.
Queen, yes.
Vagrant Queen.
I remember the
So
Vagrant
good.
part.
So good. Excellent.
I might have to go back and reread it because I
Excellent
remember
book.
not loving it. But
man, it's good.
I did go back and reread from Vault Comics Heathen because I couldn't remember. The new one just came out, so I caught up all on Heathen.
Yeah.
I forgot how good it was, but it felt like so long in between issues that I had to go back and reread it. And I enjoyed it just as much now as I did then.
Vault Comics is doing some great stuff.
It's funny because Black Mask was doing great stuff for a while, and then they kind of tailed off, and now it feels like Vault's kind of picking...
Just fizzled off.
Yeah, Vault's picking up some of it. Although one of my favorite series, I forget who was putting it out originally. I think Dark Horse picked it up now. Did you read Hench Girl?
Man, that sounds familiar, and I feel like I maybe picked it up, but then never went back to it.
Oh, it was such a fun read. It just reminded me of the old Tick comics, like, except with this hench girl that she basically sucks. She's a hench girl and she just sucks. She's a fuck up. But I love that series. It was a ton of fun. I'm talking indies. Wow. It's been a while. What's your review for Comic Lounge coming up next? Or is that a surprise?
It's probably going to either be well, I mean, not necessarily that it's a surprise, but it's probably going to be either the plot, or Something is Killing the Children, one or the other.
I know nothing about
both. Who knows?
I know nothing about the plot. I don't remember that book at all.
Horror. It's put out by Vault, which is kind of cool because I feel like a lot of the stuff that they do is either like sci-fi or fantasy based, and a lot of it strong female characters, which is really fun. But this one is more horror based, and I definitely got some Lock and Key vibes out of it. And yeah, I liked it. I
might have to go back because like I was looking at Bitter Root the other day. I was like, I swear I read that when it first started coming out, and I remember nothing from that book. But I swear I remember reading it at one point. Oh,
I think that when Bitter Root first came out, it came out at the same time as Juke Joint was coming out, and I got those two like a little bit mixed up. But Bitter Root was really, really good.
I really like not the Excellence by Carrie Randolph.
Excellence, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the first issue I didn't love, but it got progressively better every issue, and that is the actual kind of like someone taking this magical world, but they're making this, person of color universe of magicians, and I love that it's an original idea.
Yep.
And I sit there and go, why can't the bigger companies figure this shit out instead of making these analogs of existing characters? Of course, if you do it for the big two, you don't own those characters. So I see that part too, which is probably why they're kind of stagnant, where everybody just leaves their ideas for when they use the big two to get their name out there and then go to Image or Boom or...
Yep.
Yet Rob Liefeld got one of the sweetheart deals where he gets a piece of every Deadpool thing that comes out. This weird contract he signed back in the 90s. I think he said he gets like 10%.
Yeah.
It's fucking fascinating that someone gave him that deal back then. Which, not thinking that Deadpool now would be this giant like machine of merchandise.
Yep.
Unreal.
He did something right.
I'll leave it for Gambit to do that bad. That'll be another episode where they start talking about him randomly. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be back next week. Don't know what we'll be talking about. We might have announcement of when the next Ink Panels book club is, and Gambit is on the clock for his pick that he has to present when we do the next episode. I'm sure he's put no thought into it, and he's going to brain lock right before we go on. But love you, Gambit. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, thank you for having me here.
Oh, no problem. I love having you on. Permanent, yes, permanent. Permanent.
Permanent.
All right, everybody, take care. So long, farewell, Avita, say goodbye.